Another day, another FPL pod. Jack, how you doing?
Hey Josh, yeah, I'm really well, thanks. Yeah, really good. Just recovering from a little COVID bout,
Oh
but
yeah, the COVID.
apart from that, can't complain. Yeah, bit bored at the weekend with no football on, no FPL, but is what it is with these international breaks, isn't it? How are you doing?
Yeah, just ticking along. Still with the 4-week-old. Same as you. Hate not having football on the background just to keep your interest peaked. And then obviously,
Yeah,
I'm not playing football at the moment, so it's like the double whammy. No real life football and
no,
no Premier League.
rubbish,
So, and who wants
rubbish.
internationals? Like, I know you
Yeah,
got the Welshies going all like that at the moment, but
yeah. I got more entertainment out of the Wales game than the England game. To be fair, the England game was just like something
no.
so sterile about England friendlies, aren't there? They're just so dull.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fair play. Like, Bale, that was actually buzzing for him,
Oh, he
but
was brilliant. Yeah, love him.
England's so frustrating to watch. But yeah, anyway, let's not
Yeah,
focus on that. We're here to talk about FPL.
yeah, man. Yeah, let's do it. So, should we? What have we got going on this week, Josh? What are we up to?
Well, we're going to look at game week 30. See what happened, see how we did. Then you posed a little question for us to cover, which is, at this stage of the season, how do you keep FPL fun if you're not in the running, like to hit your overall rank target or your mini league fighting for the win? So, how do you keep it interesting? How do you keep engaged to keep it fun? So we're going to tackle that and come back with our thoughts. Then we're going to look at game week 31. There's some doubles and blanks. Some doubles there to consider. Cover the key fixtures and then cast our eye a little bit towards planning to 33 where
Cool.
there are doubles and blanks, and then do our transfer plans to finish up.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. A nice meaty pod ahead of us. Should be
Indeed.
should be
Indeed.
fun. Right. So where we're off, Josh? We've just come off the back of the big blank game week 30. We both played our free hits, our second free hits. And we had mixed results, didn't we, really? Should we? I'll kick it to you. How did you get on?
Yeah, thanks, Jack. So 69 points for me. Green arrow.
Decent.
But yeah, happy with that. So it's put me up to 285,000 overall.
Lovely.
Yeah, nice little bumper, and puts me well positioned to try and push for that top 200 next, and then enough time to maybe get past that if all goes well. But I like to have those incremental little goals. So the next one for me is sights on 200, and then I look past that when I get there.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, went with Saka, Son, and Kane captain, which all returned quite well. Barnes came back with 5 points for me, and then the rest just blank City. So Sarr, Cash, Saiss, Doherty, Coutinho, Tony, Lacazette. So real mixed bag on the player picks there, but overall take the green arrow. But what about you, Jack?
Nice.
How'd
Yeah.
your free hit go?
Yeah, not as well, I'm afraid, Joshy boy. Not
Ooh.
as well. So 55 points. And it was just a real feast and famine week, wasn't it? With the free hit picks, like a few massive haulers, and then most of the other picks blanked, didn't they? So it started badly with that. I tripled up on Wolves defense with Sarr, Saiss, and Cody. And it was all looking rosy until, was it the 70th minute when Jimenez got sent off, and then Leeds just scored 3. Brilliant. So yeah, that kind of set the tone for a pretty underwhelming game week for me. And it was just, I mean, starting with 3 points from 3 players is never good. So I also had Doherty who blanked, Coutinho, like you, blanked, Lacazette up top, also blanked. Odegaard, which was like a kind of out there pick because I really liked him, blanked. And then I had, luckily, the 3 big hitters I had saved me. So Son and Saka, 15, 11 points, and Kane with 13 points. But because going back to what I've been saying the last few weeks, I really have to attack this this final run-in with differential captains. I didn't captain Kane, I captained Ivan Toney. And that was one of those classic, bored, I'm looking at my phone, half an hour before the deadline choices of, you know what, yeah, Tony's doing well in the XG, let's do it. And it was just immediate regret really after the deadline passed. I should have been smarter and gone for Son, because even though he's obviously a great captain pick, he wasn't the main pick. But he'd have been a more sensible differential pick for captain, I think. Easy to say in hindsight because he hauled, obviously. But yeah. So 55, still well above the average, of course, because with all the dead teams and things. But it was a very small green arrow in the end of 16k. So not what you want from a chip play for me, really. So there we go.
Yeah, I kind of know where you're coming from, but really the difference in us, like, we started the game week very close, and the difference in overall rank between us now is purely down to literally like a 15-point difference, which is nothing really. But yeah,
still small. Yeah.
To sound disappointed and still get a green arrow is, it could have been worse.
Yeah, it definitely could have been worse. Yeah, I could have really used with Kane not doing anything really. So it's one of those. Even though I had him, he FPL game week saying he's like 31% negative for me, whatever points he gets. So yeah, watching him just absolutely smash it with the assists was painful. But he was amazing, wasn't he? He was so good. Sorry, Harry, let you down. And it'll be interesting, won't it, with him to see who we go for between the likes of him and Salah in the sort of run-in, I think. So I think he's really come to the fore with being one of the best picks, hasn't he, in the game? So we shall see. Cool. Well, that's that game. That's the game week, Josh. That's the game week. You've done very well. So well done to you.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk now, aren't we, about the question for the week. So the theme of the pod, which is how can you keep it fun for these last 8 game weeks if you're like not in the running for your mini league, or for say you're having a bit of a stinker of a season, essentially, and you're in maybe you're past 1 million rank, or you're in the high hundreds, or you're just not where your start of season target was, and the reality is you haven't got that much of a hope in getting there. How do you keep it fun? Or are you better off just sacking off this season, switching the laptop off and having some fun in the summer and prep for next season? So I've got a few suggestions, Josh, but have you got any initial kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see your suggestions, so I'm not gonna touch on them. But like generally speaking, I think there are people that are gonna be, like the target-driven people that had an idea of overall rank or wanting to win their mini league at the start of the year, and now there might be like a drift of those and thinking, oh, what's gonna happen? But you can like realign your target. So like I was just saying, I'm 285,000, and by the end of the year I now want to hit 200k. Like set yourself a new target which is more achievable, and use that as your kind of new enthusiasm to reach that target. Or if you just want to get rid of targets altogether, maybe just go down the route of picking fun players to watch for teams that you actually want to watch on the weekend. So like a team that you support maybe, or a team that you like that's playing good football. Pick those, and then you might enjoy like big assets from them, and you might just enjoy watching the games and trying to get something back from that, rather than picking random players that you think is doing well in the XG as a differential, but you end up turning on and watching like a Brighton game or something when you're not a Brighton fan, like wanting Mopé or Trossard to return. Like just pick exciting players for teams you might want to watch, and just get back to enjoying watching football, really.
Yeah, I like that, tying it back to actually watching the games, because I'm very guilty of just letting FPL completely consume the way I watch football, like especially like during the season. Like I'm just thinking about the FPL points when I'm watching players now, and not really appreciating the actual game, because FPL isn't football. It's not. It's it's a game layered on top of real football, isn't it? It's not the be all and end all of football by any stretch. You still get the same amount of points for a worldy goal than you do a goal that bounces off your crotch, don't you? So, but in my mind, that's just right. 4 points if they're a striker, 5 points if it's a midfielder. But really, I should be watching it and admiring the great players, admiring the skill, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's a good tip. Yeah, I mean, I typically don't struggle with keeping engaged in the game, no matter how I'm doing, because I just love it. Like, and I am completely addicted to it. But I think the more casual, like we've got friends who are like, forget it this year. You know, after putting in loads of effort for half the season and then being like, forget it. Like, I can't relate to that mindset, but I know it's a common one. You know, I know it's. What about you? Like, if season's gone by, have you just been like, oh, you know what, forget this, I'll check in next year?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I think, and it just comes down to how serious you take it. It can build up, can't it, as well? And if you want to put time into it, some people just, as you said, if they're doing well in the season, then they double down and really get involved. And some people just want to check out and not keep focused on it. But the other thing as well is some mini leagues, the way that they're set up, maybe you've got other rewards like the weekly wins or something that you can focus on separate to that or whatever. But I think it's just, the other thing is just don't put too much pressure on just try and get the enjoyment, like the old always cheating kind of make FPL fun again kind of thing. Like, yeah, don't just put too much pressure on yourself, especially at this point in the season.
Yeah, it's so easy it goes back to the, if you have a bad game week, it shouldn't ruin your weekend, but it does for a lot of us, and vice versa. Yeah, and vice versa. If you have a great game week, you feel like you're king of the world. But yeah, so I've come up with sort of 4 ways that I think if you're finding yourself disengaged, but you want to remain engaged, and you've touched kind of on a couple of them already, I think. So there's the first one I put is chase overall rank average. And what I mean by that is you can obviously see your career history throughout FPL if you click on your little profile, and it gives you your total points for each season you've finished, but it doesn't give you this kind of the percentile finish that you finished in. And because there's chasing an overall rank, your best overall rank is always really good, and we've touched on it many times before, like. And a top overall rank of 10k now is very, very different to a top 10k finish 10 years ago, because there's 5 times the amount of players playing. So little plug, I've put together a little career history analyzer tool on the Game Change site that shows you your percentage finishes for each year and gives you your average percentage finish for your career. So one little way you could be like, right, I just need to beat that percentage, or I need to make that percentage not go down as much as I possibly can, which I like to keep in mind. I feel like if I beat my average percentage, I've done well for the season. So that's one way. That's one little tip, little tool tip, to keep it good. The other way was, you've kind of mentioned it, is go a bit rogue with who you're picking now. Like, and that can work if you really don't care anymore. Go crazy, like sign players with like super differentials, get players who nobody else has, who might be a bit of fun, like you said, like you might want to watch a Trossard or a Saint Maximin because no one else has got them, but they're these flair players that can pull a rabbit out of the hat. But going rogue with choices also means, for me, actually that's my chance to really climb the rank, and I'll risk dropping rank. But the real chance I've got to make big gains is by going the Ivan Toney captains over the Kane captaincies. And it does make it more fun in a way. Like, I was watching Ivan Toney like a hawk, and I was the only one doing it, that game. So yeah, going rogue with choices is a good way to do that, because it's always a bit boring if you're in a good position with 8 games to go. You're kind of handcuffed to go safe, aren't you? It's just clearly the right move to play it safe. You don't want to lose rank. You just want to consolidate, and that could be a bit boring, I think. Yeah. So those were the first 2. Any thoughts on them?
Yeah, I like them, but I like the idea of, as you said, taking into account, the number of players that we've got now, figuring out what your average is in kind of real terms now. So like what you had before, what your highest score was before, what your average was before, is different given the number of players that we have now. So yeah, check out. I think if you post a link to the tool that you've got, in the description, check that out. I check it out myself because I don't know my own. So that'll keep me,
check it out, Josh.
Keep me intrigued. And then the rogue choices, yeah. I think just like you can be like the Prem teams that we get this part of the season. You could sit on the beach and play the same way that you have done the whole year, or you can take the gloves off and go crazy. If it doesn't work out, what's the worst? But we all want to watch, when we're watching the Prem, we want to watch the team that take the gloves off and just be like, let's just fight. If we lose the game, at least it'll be entertaining. So take the same approach for your FPL team.
Yeah, for sure. And then the only other two I've got is turn mini leagues into mini battles. So you could be sitting in 20th in your mini league, but your mate could be 25th. Just give him a text like, right, dude, last 8 games of season, me against you. Let's see who gets the most points. Put a little cheeky bet on it. I mean, I've got a little bet on with a friend of mine where we pay each other the points difference in pounds between our teams. So the loser pays the winner how far behind they are in points. So that will keep us going. Right. So every time I take a -4, I'm effectively paying my friend Aaron £4 with that -4. So that keeps it going. That's quite an exciting one. And that kind of, it's irrelevant your overall finishes there. It's just about the difference between you and them and how crazy can it get, and set a limit on it if you want to be a coward. But no, that keeps it interesting. That does keep it fun. And then finally, there's obviously they've introduced this year the cups, the mini league cups. So I think our big league we're in, Josh, it's a league of 40 people. The cup starts in game week 33. Bigger leagues, cups will have already started, but that's a really fun way to keep you engaged towards the end of the season. If you're sitting 40th in a league, you've still got a chance to progress in a cup in that league, regardless of your league position. So, I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they brought them in because that'll keep people engaged. Turn yourself into a cup specialist team. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, good. That was it for that, Josh.
Some good advice there, I reckon.
Yeah,
for anyone,
Yeah,
different approaches.
There's loads to keep. There's loads. It's such a good game in it that there's so many ways to stay engaged, I think. But I think we should finish by saying, if you choose to disengage, that's totally fine as well. You're not enjoying it, get out. Why are you playing it? I mean, there's no need. There really is no need to play. Not everyone's addicted like we are. So, yeah, quit out. No one cares, do they? Nobody cares, really, your overall rank record but yourself. Nobody gives a damn, do they, how you finish? Like, can you, off the top of your head, know how you did 2 seasons ago? Nobody cares, do they?
No.
It's
living
just
the here
a little,
now.
exactly, here and now, and just keeping you. If you like playing against yourself, look back. But yeah, not a big deal. But of course, Josh, to us, it is a big deal. So let's move on to game week 31, fast approaching. Talk to me. What's going on?
Well, the highlight, I guess, is that it is a double. So, Everton and Burnley both have double fixtures. And in terms of those doubles, Burnley have got City, not ideal, and Everton. And then Everton have got West Ham and then Burnley, obviously, because they're playing each other. I mean, it's not the sexiest,
it's not great.
double, is it?
It's not great, is it?
It's not ideal. So right off the top of that, looking at our reactions, that you can see, not going to really tell people to invest a lot in these two teams and the doubles that are involved, because it's not, maybe for Burnley, annoyingly so, because they've got so many games to catch up on. You might want some Burnley assets just because they've got those games, but the double isn't great. They've got City, not expecting a lot from there, and then Everton mix. You don't know what Everton team's going to turn up.
They always get panned by City, don't they? Burnley. They always. It's like a annual tradition. Burnley get spanked. Yeah.
So, but I mean, let's kick it off with that. Are you interested in investing in Burnley and Everton assets any more than you may have already? And who would you pick?
Deal with them separately. So Burnley, I am interested. I am, because in going back to that, I'm chasing rank here. So I'm going to play aggressive and play the odds a bit. I know, like you say, Burnley have got lots of fixtures coming up. I'm going to heavily invest in Burnley this week in their defence. So I think I'm going to bring in 2 Burnley defenders, as crazy as it is against City. for a hit because they've also got the double in 33, which we'll come on to. But I think Burnley they're in relegation battle Sean Dyche mode now. They're not on the beach, which is where they normally are at this stage of the season. And when they're on the beach, they tend to just get panned and roll over because they've hit the 40-point mark and they're safe. But they're going to be engaged and scrapping. I'm sure they'll lose to City. But with that game against Everton, I do fancy them. I think Burnley players are used to being in this scrap. Those pampered Everton players are not used to it, and they're going to really struggle with the pressure. So moving on to Everton, I think completely avoid Everton assets, like complete avoiding. Like West Ham and Burnley are two horrible teams to play if you're fighting for your life, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself, really. And even if I was to say, for those people that really want to go with a Toffees asset or an Everton asset, I couldn't really sell you someone. I don't know who I'd sell you. That's
Richarlison. I mean, he's still okay, is he? I don't know.
Again, I mean, that's the thing. That's you're clutching. I feel like we're clutching at straws there. And I don't think if it wasn't for the double, not in a million years would I be looking at an Everton asset. And it really is such a short-term strategy because it would be for 31 only, and then you don't want them. And looking at their fixtures after that, 32, 33, 34, 35, United, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea. So you're really going to only want
they're in some serious trouble, aren't they? They're in deep shit.
Frank's going to sort them out.
They're really bad. I mean, I really hope they go down. I love when a big club goes down. Nothing against Everton in particular, but it's just funny, isn't it? When a club that spent loads of money completely messes it up. But yeah, they're in. You've got to be. You feel for the fans there because they are in some.
It's going to be nerve-wracking for those.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. But the problem with it's such a shame that Ben Mee's injured for Burnley. I think because he not only would he be a good pick, he also just makes them better defensively by being there, doesn't he? But I think the Tarkowski
is there.
When I looked last week, there wasn't. It might be an update, but he'd be the one. Him and Tarkowski are the ones I'd go for, I think. Yeah. Roberts is there. They're all so cheap that it kind of doesn't matter. And Pope's a great shout if you're looking for another goalie. But I won't be going for him because I'm happy with my goalies. But yeah, I think Pope's a brilliant shout there. And obviously there's the Weghorst factor up front. We all got a bit burned by him in the last double, but if you want a Burnley attacker, then he's the man, I think.
Yeah, he's probably the only one with a bit about him. Like he's not going to do it every week. Probably not every other week. Probably not every 3 weeks, but every now and again he's got something in him. And
against that Everton defence, he could do it easily. I mean, they are like Michael Keane and who else at Holgate, Coleman. They're terrible, absolutely awful. I actually feel bad for Pickford because I don't think he's a bad goalie at all, personally. But I think he's just suffering from that crisis of confidence that a bad defence can cause a goalie to have.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty clear there. The message is stay away from Everton. And Burnley have enough about them over the next 5 game weeks with all the doubles.
Yeah.
To actually say it's probably worth bringing the assets for this double, 31, and for the next few.
Yeah, sure. Sorry if you can hear my cat tear the carpet up. Hiccup.
Hiccup.
What are you doing, boy?
But Brilliant. Hiccup with maybe you wanted something to say, but Hickey, if you're not going to say anything about Everton and Burnley,
if you're not going to contribute,
there are other teams playing in this game week, Jack. Believe it or not.
Yeah, talk to me, Josh. What are the other fixtures that have caught your eye?
So the key fixtures that we want to bring up to raise really are Liverpool, Watford. So the only reason I brought this in really is because of maybe one particular problem which a lot of people might have, and that is Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, what's the latest, Josh? Is he fit?
I mean, we don't know. Obviously, he's not travelled with England because of an injury concern. We don't know if he's going to be back afterwards, and it's one of those classic things of ear to the ground right up to the end. But let's say, hypothetically, you have him. It looks like he's not going to be fit. What the hell do you do with him?
Yeah, it's tricky. I'm ditching him, actually, because I mean, I'll outline my grandmaster plan later.
Let's go.
Up to 33. But yeah, I'm going to ditch him. But again, that's with the view of aggression differentials. They don't double in 33, do they? Liverpool is the only thing. If they did, then the case to keep him is very strong, I think. He's still the best defender in the game when he's fit, I think. Just unbelievably creative, isn't he? But yeah, it's ear to the ground. I mean, if he's declared fully fit before 31, then great. But what is the actual injury? What is it?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It was like I'm going to say it was a leg injury, like muscular, I believe. So, I mean, that
can mean a lot
in
of
itself,
things.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
And like pulling out of England, there were a lot of people saying, obviously, conveniently not traveling over with England and playing.
That's the thing.
At a time when there's a lot of players that have been dropping out of international squads for different reasons, and it could just be because we're hitting crunch time. Like a lot of teams have crunched fixtures.
I mean, Liverpool are going for it on every front, aren't they? So
yeah, and it's not just them. There's a lot of other teams as well that have got a lot of fixtures coming up through April. So that could be a massive part of it, and wouldn't be surprised if you see him line up and start in 31.
Are you going to stick with him?
I'm really torn. I'm going to have to make a late call because like you said, he is the best defensive asset.
If he was confirmed out for 31, would you get rid or would you bench him?
I would. I really don't know what I do right now. And the only reason why I said that I'm not sure is because the next two fixtures, they've got City and then United. And I know, Liverpool are pushing, and you say you want teams that are like really fighting, but those two teams are also fighting, and City is the crunch game. Yeah, I mean, they're probably two fixtures that you wouldn't want a Liverpool asset.
I could see Liverpool conceding against those teams. The defense isn't quite what it was, I don't think. He's just amazing because of his attacking returns, isn't he?
But you can't see them being high scoring, and therefore you get a little bit kind of caught up in
Well, United, you should demolish them again. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. That was amazing, wasn't it? That 5-0 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
incredible.
I'm not saying it until the games.
You're such a superstitious guy. I'll happily say it. Liverpool will smash it, as I predicted last time.
So
Watford, they do bloody love playing Watford, don't they? Liverpool though, they do, like Salah especially loves a brilliant goal against Watford, doesn't he? So,
and there were concerns about his overall fitness, but it looks like he's doing bits for, like, as in playing minutes for Egypt, so he'll be fine.
Salah, yeah. So then the other key fixtures you highlighted, Josh? Tottenham, Newcastle.
Yeah, this is really because the emergence of the Tottenham attacking assets. So Kane, Son, Kulusevski, all great picks at the moment. You can say probably consistently been doing it now for quite a number of game weeks. Newcastle, bit of an emergence of form. You'd say that they've shown some grit in recent games. So what would you say about targeting or picking up with Spurs assets? If you didn't want to look at Burnley, didn't want to look at Everton, Newcastle, looking at their league place, you'd say, oh yeah, let's go with the Spurs double up or triple up if you're at that point. How far do you go?
Yeah, I still don't love Spurs, don't trust them fully in a game. They looked great the other day, don't get me wrong, they did look good when Kane and I think that Kulusevski has really given them and Bentancur, isn't it, has really given them some confidence. But I just don't. Newcastle are looking decent. They are. They're safe now, and they are. Those players know they're playing for a place in, potentially legendary squad, aren't they, over the next few years? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Now they are pretty much safe. So it'll be interesting to see if that fire drops off a little bit. And Spurs are going for top 4. But I think, Kane, Son and Kulusevski and Doherty are still good, really good picks, of course. But if it's a question of captaincy, I think you go with the Salah over the Kane or Son this week as the sort of favourite pick.
And for this weekend, probably the next few, I'm sensing hesitation. So it's only like a single or double up. You wouldn't triple up on Spurs assets.
I mean, I might do. Yeah, I am currently tripled with Kane, Kulusevski, and Doherty. Yeah, no, they are good. They are a good pick. I think I'm just looking at them through the Liverpool lens of like who's better. But that shows how good they've been, doesn't it? That we're weighing up those two assets. And the fixtures aren't bad, are they? They've got Newcastle, Villa, and Brighton. They don't double in 33, do they?
No, and then Brentford and Leicester afterwards. So
yeah, it's decent, man. I mean, decent. You can't argue that is decent. So yeah, I think I think stick with them and stick with them, but don't be surprised if they completely fluff one of those games and lose 3-0 because they just have got form for it this year, haven't they?
Yeah, and I know what you mean. Like, really, the only team that we've been kind of recommending a triple up on this season is consistently is Liverpool, and you would not put them in that bracket. So it does feel strange to be like, oh yeah, they're a triple up team.
Yeah.
That's who you're comparing them with.
It's because of their value. Like Kulusevski is good value. Son and Kane are Son and Kane, and their fullbacks seem to play high. Yeah. And if it looks like Doherty is nailed at the moment, but it can change, can't it? And with Sessegnon out, Reguilon might be nailed, but I'm not going to do that dance again. So, yeah, I think that's the reason we're talking about triple up, because they have got 3 or 4 very good assets, not because as a team they're phenomenal or could compete with Liverpool. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's them. And then the last fixture, Josh, was Palace Arsenal.
Yeah, this was really because, well, one, that's a hard fixture to call, I think, given how I'd say good Palace have been this year. And really because of after 31, a lot of people will be looking at Arsenal assets for the medium to longer term because of, the double in that they've got in 33 and just generally they've been pretty good. So it was just, what do you think of them against Palace, and who would you pick going forward for them, really? Because it's quite hard to call. They've got a lot of choices. There's a lot of choice going there, that team.
Yeah, man. I really like what Arsenal are doing. Like, love Saka, Odegaard, like Lacazette. They seem to be, it's like good vibes Arsenal, isn't it? That we haven't had for a long time. But this fixture in particular is not a good one for them, I don't think. Like, Palace are good, like really good, and they seem to be just playing better than they ever have, I think, in the Prem. Zaha seems to have finally found a bit of consistency. Obviously, Gallagher, and like they just have all those really good wingers that seem to have come out of nowhere. Palace, yeah, I really like them. So I don't love this fixture for Arsenal at all. But longer term, I do like Arsenal, and they've got the double. I think they've got Chelsea in the double, which isn't great, but I think it's Southampton and Chelsea, so it's not bad. Yeah, so I think, it's who to pick's tough, isn't it? Because you've got Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Lacazette, the defenders, Ben White, Tierney's kind of threatening to be good, but isn't putting the numbers up. Ramsdale in goal. Who would you pick from Arsenal? And do you share my kind of cautious optimism with them?
Yeah, I think about the Palace, I think you nailed it with they're both 2 confident teams, and so it's really hard to pick what's going on there. Palace at home as well, and a derby, obviously. So that's tough. But Arsenal going forward, in terms of who to pick, like, it shows how good that they've been, that you can almost pick. You put an argument to pick someone like Ramsdale, a defender like White or Tierney, midfield stacked or Laka. You could put an argument to pick any of them, and I think that's testament to how well they've been doing at the moment. So again, going back to that, like, do you want to propose a triple up? Because are they as good as like Liverpool in terms of output consistently? Probably not. But if you're going with a double up, I'd probably go Saka. I think definitely nailed for minutes and good goals, return and assists. He's involved in terms of playmaking, and then after that it gets tricky. I think for me it's close between Martinelli and Odegaard.
Not Laka. Not tempted by the lack.
I think his underlying stats are pretty good, but goal involvement, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is actually returns and are not where I'd want them to be.
Actual goals. Yeah, actual goals he's not great with. He's quite good at the little one-touch layoffs for someone to shoot, and he's on penalties. His two strengths, aren't they?
Yeah, pens is a big one. You're right, but I think like threat, Martinelli seems to do better, but then he's showing minutes with Smith Rowe on the left. So the other ones have all got arguments for and against. Whereas I think Saka is just the most kind of rounded pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think Saka's the strong pick. Odegaard, there's something about the way he plays that I just love. Like he just seems to read the game differently a bit to the others. But that doesn't necessarily mean FPL points, does it? And Martinelli, I don't know what it is with him. Obviously the Smith Rowe factor, but he hasn't. I'm not sold on him yet. Arsenal fans love him, don't they? But I'm not.
He's a rough gem, isn't he? Like they were raving about how he turned Trent inside out, and yeah, I think that's the most I've seen Trent struggle in a 1-to-1 battle for a long time. And you'd say, great, great for Martinelli. That's class. You'd be excited about him, but he didn't actually do anything. Like he had quite a good chance coming in from the left, like Henry-esque, missed the target. Like what did he actually do after beating Trent that many times? So
exactly, yeah, that end product.
Yeah, but if he can build on that next season, he could be an absolute beast. But what I'm saying is, at the moment,
come back to me next year, Martinelli. Come back. Speak to me in 23. Cool. Yeah. I think this, play your Arsenal assets this week because they can do something. But Palace will be a tough game. Tough game for them. Good. So those were your key fixtures, Josh. Very good. Talked about the blank. We're casting our lens further forward to game week 33. So this was initially a very big double, wasn't it? When it first got announced, it was like, oh my God, every team's doubling. But then, of course, the FA Cup fixtures happened and the favourites won their games, didn't they? So the big dogs, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, now only have a single game week, and a few teams actually have a blank game week. So Villa, Leeds and Wolves blank. And that leaves 7 doubling teams. Is that right? Have I read that right? 7? Yeah. Arsenal, Burnley, Brighton, Leicester, United, Newcastle and Southampton. So it's more the middle of the pack, boring teams, for want of a better word, that are going to be doubling. Have you thought about your approach to this? What you're going to do?
Yeah, it's almost happened naturally because for me, the doubling teams that I like the look of there for different reasons, Arsenal, Burnley, because they've got other doubles, are the two that stand out first and foremost. I've already got assets for. So that's like kind of already, that's irons already in the fire for that double. The other ones is where it gets interesting because, if we're looking forward to prepare for that, this transfer and game week and 32 is all you can really work with. So the Burnley one, obviously, we've already said that if you haven't got Burnley assets already, probably good to do it given how many games they've got. Outside of that, I mean, Newcastle are interesting. Maybe because of the form they put together, but who would you want in terms of assets? No one's jumping out for me of those other teams, like the Brighton, Leicester, United, Newcastle, Southampton. Like, no one's really jumping up and saying, pick me for that. So it gets tricky, and I'll probably just look to make the transfer in ahead of that game week and not plan too much ahead for those other teams. But what are you thinking? Do you have some grand plan that you alluded to before?
I do have a grand plan. I do have a grand plan, actually.
Here we go.
Yeah. So I'm going to fly in the face of what you just said about boring players from this lineup, Josh.
Jeez.
You can tear this team down if you want. So again, the spirit of I have to attack this. If I want to gain ground, my reasoning is I think playing it safe is just going to let me tread water, stay in the 300k rank and just write off the season a bit and not be very fun. So I'm taking the double pronged attack of make it a bit fun. And potentially might climb in rank. Of course, downside, it might be horrendous and I drop in rank, but so be it, I think. So I've kind of laid out my moves of 31, 32 and 33 transfer wise to build a team almost of complete doublers for the game week. So So yeah, I've kind of said what I'll do. So this will blur. Let's just merge these two sections, Josh, and talk about our plans, and also talking about this double. So we've got three free transfers essentially to the end. So I'm going to take 2 additional hits on top of that. So a -8 essentially to build that team. So I'm thinking bring in the Burnley defense now to take advantage of the other double this week, to kind of mitigate that hit a bit. So that'll be a Robertson or a Tarkowski. I'm going to move then game week 32. I'm going to move on Rafinha to a Fraser probably. So the Newcastle winger. And then I'm going to move. So that's Cody and Trent are out for me. So the Wolves, Cody, and that's me ditching Trent. And Trent's going not only because he's injured, but that also frees up a lot of money going from Trent to a Burnley defender. And then finally in 33, I'm moving Cancelo to Livramento and then Dennis to Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ooh.
So that'll leave me with a team of all doublers. So Saka, Cucurella, Shea Adams, who I don't want to keep, but he's got the double, so keep him. Sanchez in goal, Peters and Tarkowski, or Robertson Tarkowski, Fraser, Livramento, and Ronaldo. And then that leaves me with 2 singulars of Salah and Kane, who I'll just keep to the end of the season. So that gives me a kind of aggressive double attacking team, but also keep Salah and Kane in my back pocket because they'll probably call anyway. Then that's at the cost of a -8. So that's over the 3 weeks. So that's me. What do you think of that? Am I crazy? Is that too much? Cancelo out, Trent out. Is this madness?
I mean, to target, it's not a crazy strategy to target, a double game week, is it? And prepare for that. I mean, it's pretty bread and butter. I think the reason maybe why you're saying is that crazy is because it's the teams and assets that you're talking about are not the typical ones that we maybe pick. But I'm guessing to fly forward 34, are you going to wild card, or 35 you're going to wild card?
Well, exactly. So that's so not being lumped with Fraser captains around is So then the plan will be, of course, to wild card with the view to building a wildcard team for the big double in game week 36, which is when I'll bench boost as well in that week. So so obviously we haven't mentioned, because you and I have used our free hit chips, all of them, there will be people left with the second free hit. Do you think 33, if you had your second free hit, would you free hit in 33?
In terms of like black and white, it is maybe a good free hit game week because it has the players and the teams doubling, which you may not have high ownership of.
Sure.
So those are the ones where it would take a lot of effort and you've laid out the master plan to do it via transfers. So the free hit is an option there. The 36 one, it depends on what other chips you've got left because you can't play 2 at a time. So I think if you've got a couple of chips left, you've got a free hit and a bench boost or a triple cap. Like if you've got 2 out of the 3, then they look 33 and 36 look like the times to use them. You just have to choose which way around you're going to do it. And if you've got the wild card, the strategy that you've picked, build a team now with your transfers for 33. Be prepared for 33, wild card afterwards, and then I'm guessing you're going to bench boost for 36.
Yeah. It'd be so great if you could stack the chips in a single week, wouldn't it? Like imagine free hitting into a double game week with a bench boost team and a triple captain while you're bench boosting. Like it would just be incredible. That would be mad. It is a shame. It is a shame we can't do it.
1,000 points.
Yeah, and it does catch people out still, doesn't it? It does. It's like, oh, I can't. What? And like not being able to free hit twice in a row with this new double free hit, things like that. It's still does catch people out, the old classic rules. But
yeah, to go back to your original question, I can't find fault with the strategy. As you said, it's risky, but then it's risky not having a strategy at this point as well.
Maybe so. I mean, the individual players might. Well, the problem is obviously things change week by week, and if there's rumors of like Saka's got COVID, if he struggles with that, I might drop him. Blah blah blah. Anything can happen, can't it? But what about your plans, then, man? What are you thinking? It's dangerous to go without a plan, as you say. What is yours?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Burnley and Arsenal are kind of a ready setup. One problem I've got is I've got me from previous
Benny.
Burnley's doubles, so I may just keep him benched and hold on to him in the hope that in these doubles coming up he'll be fine.
I would do.
But in terms of I'm just doubled up. Oh, sorry, I am tripled up with Arsenal after that as well. So that's 6 doublers for them. But outside of that, I don't have any other doublers for that game week. So I'm
not tempted by United. I know you said there weren't many that jumped out at you, but what about United assets?
I've got De Gea from a previous game week as well, but then obviously I've got Rams. That only counts as 6 overall, so I've got Ramsdale or De Gea.
I love the idea of just like having just stuff the old De Gea in the back shed. Oh, I've got a De Gea from a previous game week, and Ben Mee and De Gea are just in the shed.
Locked in.
Just these old dregs from old weeks. Just dust them off, wheel them out.
Just trying to get to that wild card, Jack, and then I can get rid of all these.
Good move. Yeah, no, you've done well.
But yeah, the one that interests me that maybe you haven't mentioned yet, correct me if I'm wrong, is Leicester, because they're
tricky.
Looks potentially tasty with Newcastle and Everton in 33. So Harvey Barnes, who I just had off my free hit from 30, and he came back with an assist.
Yeah,
I'm maybe would like him, or maybe a defender. The attacker, I don't know what's going on with Leicester's front line at the moment, but Harvey Barnes and maybe a defender could interest me there.
So who have they got on the double again?
They've got Newcastle and Everton.
Yeah, that's decent, isn't it?
Which I'd say is probably the best of any team out of that 33 double. United have got the Norwich, great, and then Liverpool. The other thing I worried about is I looked at the XGA stats of since like the beginning of this month, beginning of March, and Leicester have got one of the worst XGA, so they're conceding a lot of goals. So maybe defense is the way forward. But Harvey Barnes is maybe the only one I'd shout for those. I'd be interested in having him.
Yeah, how much is Barnes? Because I've got that Rafinha to Fraser move in.
But then Fraser's looked great recently, so you'd say.
Yeah, I don't know. But then you're right about Leicester's double being better, I think.
Newcastle have Leicester and Palace. So
not terrible, but not amazing. They're both at home as well. Leicester's games are both away, but it's hard to know how much of a factor that is these days. I'm just looking at Fraser. This is very, very selfish for me to just look at my view. Fraser's 5.3. So all of those moves I calculated, I just did them all like in the transfer thing, and it left me with 1 mil left. But so that's 1 mil of leeway. So I'm not in a rush to make these transfers, luckily. But if I brought in a Maddison or a Barnes, I wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think. Barnes is 6.6, Maddison 6.8, and I don't think anyone else from Leicester is worth it. Yeah, the defence don't appeal to me at all, really. So Maddison and Barnes would be the two from Leicester I'd go for, no doubt about it. So I could go Kulusevski.
That's the only one I would say in addition to is, you haven't looked at any Leicester assets, and maybe that's because, they're not great overall, but for the double, they've got a great matchup. That's what I'm looking at. Don't have any set master plan, but I'd like to bring in Harvey Barnes. And you mentioned Maddison, but Harvey Barnes is my main target now, unless anything changes between them. That would bring me up to 7, and then 2 others. Leading up to 33, and that would, that put me in reasonable position.
9, same as me, I guess. That's So you'd have 9 in theory.
9 in theory.
Same as me. That's really good.
No one gets injured. So, and then the same as you, I'd be probably looking to wild card 34, and just try and figure out a strategy between 34 and 36 in the same manner that we're talking about now.
Yeah. Sounds good. So in terms of immediate plans, just to finish off on our plans for Game Week 31, what are your moves you're looking at?
I'd need to look at who else apart from Harvey Barnes I want for that 33 to order the transfers. If you know what I mean.
That's exactly what I had to do. Yeah.
I think Harvey Barnes needs to come at 32 because they've got United now, although maybe that's not a bad fixture for Leicester with the leaky defence. So either Harvey Barnes this week or next week, and then I need to decide who I want, who else is going to double in 33, who I fancy. But maybe the flip would be to go for a United player, but I don't have the funds to go for Ronaldo, and I wouldn't want to do it because it would probably have to be for Kane, like money, and they've got Newcastle this week. So who else would you shout for United outside of Ronaldo?
Yeah, difficult, isn't it? Maybe a Sancho shout as a big differential. I think he, attacking players, he's kind of been on the most of an upward trajectory, like whereas the others like Rashford and co are just in the mud. I mean, Bruno Fernandes is a lot of money, but he's always got points in him, I think. Fernandes. Yeah. I think he's about to sign a new contract, isn't he? Maybe that'll give him a little boost. Who knows? I hate their defence. I absolutely hate them all. So I wouldn't go anywhere near that. Ronaldo. Ronaldo, I'm going for, and I'm praying that he starts them both. That's the one. Even Ronaldo's not a sure thing, is he, these days, in terms of starting, especially with congested fixtures. So, but he's just so good, isn't he? Like that hat trick the other week. Like I'd written him off a bit. I'd written him off, but he's definitely still got it. It's just the rest of the team that are crap, isn't it? I think that's what the evidence shows. So I think Ronaldo, Sancho, maybe Fernandes.
Fluffy this week for me.
Is that
fluffy this week for me? But I think Sancho, if I did go with United this week, it would be him, if not Harvey Barnes.
Would you? Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah, I like Barnes. Barnes is he's a frustrating one, isn't he? Because he's clearly got loads of attributes, but he doesn't tend to. He's a bit like Martinelli for me, I think, where he's a bit too kind of rush of blood to the head. Doesn't make the right choice when he's in that critical point of the pitch.
He needs to take that Bowen step. I would kind of categorize Bowen and Harvey Barnes is like similar levels at the start of the season, but Bowen's really stepped up. And
he just seems a smart guy, Bowen, doesn't he? Yeah, I saw an interview with him the other week, and he did come across really well. It's just that. Yeah, I agree. Good captaincy, Salah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to be a bit worried about his minutes and things like that, but I think the fact that he's playing for Egypt is fine. Salah nailed.
And the fact that Liverpool have to fight now. Yeah, they're in the fight for the title now, aren't they? Like they're just going to play Salah all the time, aren't they? I think. Yeah,
I mean it's annoying or frustrating from an FPL perspective that all the other attacking assets are now backed. So they can rotate if they want to.
Yeah.
But it's Salah, as you said, they'll just play him.
Yeah, man.
What about you?
I think they will. Well, I'm sticking with I was stupid last week and I didn't go for the second best option, which I should always do with this differential captaincy. So instead of going for Son, I went for Tony, which was madness. So I'm going to go with Kane this week because I think Salah will be the most captained. And I think Kane, I think Salah is the best option, but Kane isn't far behind him. And the potential upside on the Kane captaincy will be higher than the Salah one for me personally. So, I'm going to go with Kane, I think, against Newcastle. But Salah will, and watch Salah burn me. But yeah, he does blank now and then, Salah, doesn't he? He does. Like I think lately he has scored less from open play a bit.
He's lost form for sure, but then his levels were so high before.
It's still lethal. It's just the way that Liverpool side play, the chances they create are unbelievable, aren't they? It must be hell as a defender when you watch them. Like Mane and Salah running at full pelt must be awful to deal with.
Yeah, 9 minutes of hell. But it's going to be close. We'll see. We'll come back next week and give the results of the Salah versus Kane Gameweek 31 head to head.
Yeah, we certainly will. Good. All right. I think that about wraps us up, Joshua. Good pod.
That wraps us up. Lovely.
Yeah, can't wait for it to be back. If you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, give us a little follow or a like. We're massive on TikTok. TikTok's our biggest
Huge.
one. We're basically
Huge.
TikTokers that podcast on the side now.
Exactly.
So check us out on there. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And speak to you in a bit, Jack. And everyone.
Cheers, Joshua. Lovely.
Cheers, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.